How do you feel like you guys handled it last week, and how's that process going as you guys deal with all the short weeks?
Yeah, I think it's fine. This has been, let's see here. So we did it twice in camp, right? So we went, a 6 day window with an off day. We did a 6 week day week with off day. Did it for Oklahoma, did it for Prairie View, and we'll do it again. So it's just routine at this point. I think just looking at it, those guys understanding the routine, I think is important. It's one of the reasons why I agreed to put Oklahoma on a Sunday night, just so we can get into a routine more than anything. So I think it's fine. Yesterday was an off day. Today we'll have the same day that we had last week. Today's Tuesday in our world, so. And then Friday would be a Saturday in our world. So it's just routine. I thought we handled it fine. There's a lot of things that we didn't do right in the game last week, but from being prepared to play and understanding the routine, it was just fine.
And Mike Leach for almost 30 years now, going back to.
Makes me sound old.
Going back to Iowa West.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Dickey's Prairie home and the start of the air raid and what he was like when you were a player and he was a coach.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. A lot of these things are going to be brought up this week, and there's 100 people that want to do interviews on what he was like. I can't explain it. It's unexplainable. He's a unique guy. This goes back to he used would I was like, who's that funny looking guy in the corner with sweatpants and a sweatshirt and his hair going everywhere, and it was just the genius Mike Leach, way back in the day. So he's done such a good job at Washington State. Gosh dang, he's been there 8 years, and it seems like just yesterday he was at Texas Tech. I left there in 2008 and came here, and he was going on his 9th year at that time. So 10 years at Tech. I believe it was 10 years at Tech, nine years at Tech. And then he's going into his 8th year at Washington State. It looks the same with better defense. It looks the same with better defense. What they're doing offensively is it's eerie how similar it is, and it's just what they're going to do, and they're really good at it. It reminds me of, when we're at Tech, he'd lose a quarterback and we'd plug another guy in that was a senior, and nothing would change. And then we'd lose the quarterback, he'd plug another guy in as a senior, and nothing would change. So they lost a good one. They plugged in a guy that performed at a very, very, very high level yesterday in his first NFL game, Garner Minshew. And then they plug in the Gordon kid, and it doesn't look any different. They're just it's really interesting to watch. I've changed a lot. He hasn't, and it's just true, and he's going to throw for a gazillion yards, and he's going to have receivers in the right spot. His O-line's going to be, nasty up front, protect, and the thing that's different with this program is that defense is really good. They were really good 2 years ago. They were, lost their coordinator, which we talked about, Coach Grinch, a couple weeks ago. And then you turn on this video, and it just looks the same. So he's really done an outstanding job up there.
Legend goes that the offense was kind of invented on diner napkins in Mount Pleasant. Were you there for any of that, or even at Valdosta State? Was there kind of like a non-traditional way that you guys started working on that?
It'd take too long to describe this. It would take too long to describe this. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the beginnings of it. Him and Hal were the guys that got all this stuff together. I was in high school when those guys got together and started developing this stuff. And they would take trips to BYU, and they'd go see Lindy and Fonnie up in Green Bay, and Bill Walsh out in California, and just developed a deal, Mike's been doing the same stuff forever and ever. It's one thing that's admirable about him is as much as people have evolved, he's pretty much just continued to do the same stuff. So there's never been a playbook. you know, so. But there's been books written about how it was developed, you know, and those are the guys that were the beginning stages of what it was.
Dana, looking at your defense, you got Leroy Godfrey back this week, and Isaiah seemed to get in there a little bit more. I'm assuming those were two guys that in camp were dealing with some issues injury-wise, or in terms of how you move forward with them and get them up to speed. How's that going to work?
You try to figure out our depth chart. You can continue to try to figure out our depth chart. We play people who deserve to play. That's the bottom line. So, you know, we're the ones that evaluate people in practice, and based on how they do in practice is how we're going to play them in a game. I don't care what they did last year. I don't care what they did 2 years ago. I don't care if they were hurt, if they weren't hurt. If you perform well in practice, then we're going to play you in a game. So that depth chart will continue to change, and guys will get reps based on how they practice. So you can keep trying to figure out the depth chart and who deserves the snaps all you want to. It's gonna vary week to week.
How much value, or is there any value with the familiarity between you and Leach and all these guys? I mean, everyone knows what the offense is based off of. Everyone's familiar with it, and yet still there's a lot of success in the offense year to year. Is there any value for you there?
I don't know if there is who benefits. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good storyline. I think it's, you know, good for y'all and good for, you know, the entertainment aspect of it. I mean, you know, I think all that's very positive for college football and positive for the University of Houston and Washington State as well. But it was the same thing 2 weeks ago, right? So, you know, everybody trades ideas. Everybody makes phone calls and tries to figure out the other opponent, and everybody watches all the video to try to figure it out. It gets right down to putting your players in the best position that you can possibly put them in, and then trying to get them to play really well. You know, this is another step in the 2019 air raid reunion, I guess. We'll do it again in a couple weeks with Seth Luttrell and Sonny Dykes and all those guys. So I don't, you know, I sat and watched video with our defense for an hour this morning, you know, and whether it helps or not, I don't know. You know, you put things on video and you prepare and you practice and then you go play and you try to put them in position to be successful, and hopefully you can be.
Dana, you mentioned books have been written about this, and one of them, they mentioned that when Hal came to recruit you, that you told him you'd rather stay in English class than talk to Iowa Wesleyan. How true is that account?
That's a fairy tale, you know. I mean, there's no way I was staying in English class.
Does that kind of amaze you that all of this, or the other reunions, you're saying you're going to be on your third air raid reunion, all grew kind of out of Mount Pleasant? Like, I'm from Kelowna, so out of Mount Pleasant.
Where are you from?
Kelowna,
Where's that?
40 minutes north of Mount Pleasant,
Really?
between Iowa City.
So that's like, I mean, I don't know where I don't know where that is. I know where Iowa City is.
20 minutes south of Mount Pleasant.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I must have just blew on by it when I was going to Iowa City. I couldn't wait to get to the big city, the big city of Iowa City.
So does that amaze you that all
There's another Iowa guy in the back. There you go.
that all grew out of Mount Pleasant?
It's a great story. I mean, I mean, there's, like I said, there's books written about it and all that. I mean, it's a great story, and it's you know, we've been there, done that so many times. I mean, I sat here 10 years ago and was at a press conference when Texas Tech was coming to the University of Houston, and we dealt with the same thing 10 years ago. I mean, just there's so many. Mike's coaching tree is so big now. And Hal's, you know, it's an extension of Hal's coaching tree, obviously, but Mike's coaching tree is so big now that we play against those guys all the time, you know. So it's just like, this is just kind of the way it is, and we're fortunate to be a part of it. I guess maybe, you know, 10 years from now when I retire or whatever, then, you know, I'll look back on it and say, yeah, that stuff was pretty cool. And we'll sit around and be able to talk about it over some dinner or something like that. Right now, we're just trying to beat them.
Dana, with the offense, it's been 2 games. You know, it'll evolve. But with De'Eric specifically, has there been anything? He hadn't played, I guess, 10 months. In terms of what you've seen from him, at times it looks like maybe runs that he might have made in the past. He's maybe not doing it. Is that by instruction or by design that you don't want him to necessarily take those runs and look, for the pass?
We want him to play ball. I mean, there's going to be times where we put him in position to be able to do specific things. There's a lot that he can do. You guys have heard me say from day one, we're going to try to keep him clean. I think it all depends on what kind of a game it is and how the game's going and what we feel like we need to do in order to be successful. So there's a lot of things that we need to work on as an offense. There's a lot of things that he needs to work on, and we're going to get out there tonight and work hard on him.
What would you like him to work on the most? I mean, what is that?
Everything. I mean, our timing's not good. Just understanding what we want to do. We got to get guys in the right spots so he can sit in there and everybody points the finger at the quarterback if things don't look good, but there's 10 other people out there that need to do the same thing. There's a couple of calls I wished I had back. There was some sacks that shouldn't have happened based on O-line play. There's some sacks that shouldn't have happened based on receivers not being where they were supposed to. There's some sacks that happened based on the quarterback not putting his eyes where we need him to. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're 2 games into this offense, so it's not going to look good initially. My goal is to try to make it look a little bit better this week and a little bit better the next week after that, and he's a big part of that. And he's got a skill set that's pretty daggum good. So we're going to do our best as coaches to be able to put our offense in position to be successful, but also put him in position to be successful as well. What exactly that is for me to figure out. And once you see it on game day, then you can write about it. But between now and then, we're not going to talk about it.
I'm curious, through 2 games, what do you feel most comfortable with about this squad, and what concerns you the most about your squad?
I don't think I know the answer to either one, honestly. I mean, we got a huge challenge Friday night. I mean, this Washington State they've won 13 out of 15 games. They've won 11 last year. They've won 9 or more last 4 years. They're dang good. So we got a huge challenge. It's going to be a big stage on Friday night. I think we'll respond well. We came out. We started fast last week. We jumped on that group, and then we shut things down, and we didn't play very good for the whole half. So, the one thing I know about Washington State and Mike Leach is they're going to play hard. Those guys are going to play hard, and they're going to play hard for 4 quarters. So I need to get our guys to understand that that's going to have to be the standard for pretty much everybody we play. It's just the way college football works. I think we'll respond. I hope we respond. So be interesting to see Friday night.
How do you feel about playing NRG?
I think it's good. I've always liked the players have always liked. I'd rather play at home, obviously, but the players have always liked being able to play in NFL stadiums. That's always been cool to them. It's obviously a great venue. I've been to a bunch of different games there, and played in some bowl games there. I'm a big fan of neutral site games, and this is pretty much a neutral site game. I wish the return trip would be played in a neutral site as well, but unfortunately it's not. It'd be good. It'd be good for our guys. Obviously it's here in the city, so everybody can go watch. National TV, big stage.